mean, it's really weird to see stuff you did. So I'm 57, you know, and started college at 17, so that's 40 years ago. And some of the sort of thoughts I haven't really grown out of, because you know, I mean, about half of doing this stuff is the whole office racket. You know, like trying to show the painting someplace and try to deal with galleries and all that. And so the business side is it's kind of I'm not really very good at it actually, but it takes just as much energy to get the stuff out somewhere as it does to make it. You know, and you always have this tension. You want to spend more time making them. And sometimes you find, I mean, that you see, you know, people who you think, well, their work is not that good, you know, but I see it everywhere. You know? and that feels frustrating. In the same way, I know artists who make really nice stuff, you know, and really good painters who you barely see. I like working on this. I have this paper that's 5 feet by 20 yards. You can buy it in 20-yard rolls. So you can make these really long things. They're really fun. They're completely impractical and non-commercial, because who can do anything with those things? But they're really fun to work on. And I like that patched together, like collage sort of feel. Even if all the pieces get put together, and then the seams just get painted over, and the thing is treated like one thing, but it ends up with this sort of rough surface to it and pieces. And that's actually part of where I don't like to throw things away, and there's a kind of a karma issue or something. A friend of mine, a sculptor, 20 years ago when we were doing the studio, she said, how big is it? And I said, well, it's 24 by 30, and it's 2 stories, and so I've got, you know, just shy of 1,500 square feet of space, and it feels pretty good, you know. And she said, well, you know the old rule, no matter how big your studio is, it'll always feel too small, and it's absolutely true. It's that. Anyways, now the other thing is I get to get this kind of interesting perspective on stuff in progress, get a little aesthetic distance, and look at things from above, and sometimes I'll put them flat on the floor, and I can get a good long view. And it's to be right up on top of it and doing this dibby-dab kind of thing with strokes of paint. It's very abstract, kind of, because you can't quite see what you're doing. So you sort of put the strokes down, and then you back up, and you put some more strokes down, and you back up. So yeah, so I have a kind of just a step process of completing them, and sometimes I leave them a little rougher, and sometimes I finish them a little bit more. It depends on where they're going and what the situation is. And I spent one summer session at the University of New Mexico in 1980, summer of '80, and took some classes with Garo Intresian, who's very well known. He wrote the Tamarin book of lithography, and he was a terrific teacher. I learned all kinds of stuff about teaching, and just ideas about how to teach, how to be a teacher. And I was a young teacher at the time, and but I liked his introduction on the first day of his litho shop. Was Garo would say, "I like to keep things ready for brain surgery if necessary." And the whole place was absolutely spotless. It looked like an operating room. There's a kind of a cultural myth that an artist studio should be a mess. You know, that's the sign of somehow of a creative mind. I go through kind of a ritual, sort of a thing where I just have to have stuff like just so. You just have to lay stuff out and have it all like ready to go when you start to work. It's a little. I always say, like, I'm not OCD, but I could be if I wanted to be, you know. And so there's a guy on public radio, Juan Williams, a reporter, and he said, "So what do you do?" And I said, "Well, And your brother says you're a professor? I said, yeah, I'm a art professor. He says, and you live in Maine? I said, yeah, yeah, I live in Maine. And he said, so you're tenured? Yeah, yeah. So you're a tenured professor, you live in Maine. And he said, shit, nice life.